In this video, we'll show you how to use the Python Azure client libraries. More specifically, we'll use the Service Management API to create a new Linux-based virtual machine. The Python Azure client libraries are available from the Python package index. The name of the package is simply Azure. If you are using Windows, you can use the Web Platform Installer to install the libraries, as well as Python tools for Visual Studio, which we'll use in this demo. To connect to the Service Management endpoint, you need your Windows Azure subscription ID and a path to a valid management certificate. You can obtain your subscription ID through the management portal, and you can create management certificates in a number of ways. On Windows, you can use the make cert command and the certificate manager snap-in to create the certificate. On Linux and Mac, you can use OpenSSL. Both methods require you upload a .cer file to the server using the management portal. Then, when you instantiate the service management object, you pass in the path to the certificate on your local machine. See the Azure documentation for details on managing certificates in Windows Azure. Once you have the subscription ID and certificate ready, you can connect to the service management endpoint. First, let's import the main Azure module and the service management module. And then instantiate the service management class. Subscription ID is a string containing the GUID for the subscription. Certificate path is in the form current user \my\certificate name. On Linux and Mac, the certificate path would be a file path to a PEM file created with OpenSSL. When you create a cloud service, storage service, or affinity group, you will need to provide a valid location. You can use the list locations method to retrieve the list of available locations. Let's create a storage account using the create storage account method. We'll need to supply a name, label, description, and a location. We'll use one of the locations that was returned by the list locations method. Create storage account is an asynchronous method, so we'll need to use the get operation status method to find out when the method has completed. As we can see, the operation is still in progress. Let's wait a little longer. Okay, now that a few minutes has passed, the operation should have completed. That's right. Here's the Azure Management Portal showing the dashboard for the storage account that we just created. Before we create a virtual machine, let's have a look at the platform images that are available when creating a VM on Azure. You can create your own OS images, but for this demo we'll use a system image. Use the list OS images method to retrieve the list of images available. As you can see, there are several Windows and Linux images available. Now let's create a virtual machine. First, we need to call create hosted service. Pass in a service name, label, location. Then we set the Linux configuration. For the hard disk configuration, we need an operating system image name. I'll paste the name of an image we got from list OS images earlier. We also need a target location for the VM hard disk, which will be in the storage account we created previously. That's the name of the storage account, the name of a container, the name of a blob. Then we call create virtual machine deployment. Service name, deployment name, slot, label, role name, system configuration, hard disk configuration, role size. Create virtual machine deployment is an async method, so you can call get operation status. Here we just waited a few minutes and we can see in the management portal the cloud service and the virtual machine we just created. However, we won't be able to connect to it because we didn't open any ports. We could have done it in the call to create virtual machine deployment, but to show how it can be changed later, we'll do it as a separate step. Let's add some endpoints to our VM using update role. First, we create the network configuration. Endpoint name will be SSH, TCP, port 22, local port 22. Then we'll call update role. Service name, deployment name, role name, network configuration. Looking at the management portal, we now see the endpoint that we just added. Now let's connect to the virtual machine. We'll use the credentials we set when we created the Linux configuration. And we're in. In this demo, we have programmatically created a Linux virtual machine on Azure using Python and successfully connected to it with SSH. Thanks for watching.